Finally, the truth behind Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa is revealed. Leonardo himself shared the true identity and meaning behind his iconic masterpiece via deep trance mediums Ian and Pearl Rogers. In this video, Pearl shares the secret with us, and it is just so moving, nearly as beautiful as Mona Lisa herself.
Leonardo da Vinci, of course, was born in Italy and is very well known for his art, but also very well known for his creations, his inventions. Leonardo was close to his mother to start with, not so close to father, but close to mother. He spent most of his life inventing weapons of war, and he went wherever he was called, whatever countries needed him to assist with fighting wars and asking him to invent weapons of war. Leonardo was also homosexual, and he took with him, wherever he went and whatever countries he traveled to, he took with him a number of young men who were in training for their artistry and in training for any other inventions, and assisting Leonardo to make those. Leonardo tells us that when he had finished creating weapons in most countries, that he was almost immediately abandoned. And he was abandoned because of his homosexuality. They wanted him to go, get away now. We don't want to know you anymore now because you've given us what we want and you've given us what we need. And Leonardo tells us that he never wanted to create these weapons, but it was the way that he made a living, and it was a way that he was able to finance the troop of young men that he always had traveling with him and helping him. And Leonardo was terribly hurt when he was abandoned. He's an incredibly sensitive man, and he explains to us and tells us very much how deeply hurt he was by the rejection because of his sexuality, because of who he was. And even in those days, Leonardo never hid his sexuality. He was quite open about it, which is something amazing for that time of Leonardo's life. Towards the end of his life, Francis I, the King of France, who was brought up with his sister Marguerite, was brought up by their father Charles, who died at an early age. The father Charles had brought them up with a great knowledge of Italian art, a great knowledge. And Francis I had wanted to bring a lot of that Italian art into France. And so he had a messenger sent to Leonardo, asking Leonardo to come to France, to come to Amboise, to the chateau of Amboise, where Francis and his sister lived. And Leonardo was given a house there, the house called Clos-le-Sec, for Leonardo and his troupe to live in. And although he was only there for a short time, just over, I believe it was 3.5 years, Leonardo taught and nurtured very, very much Francis I, in what was in fact the start, the beginning of the Renaissance of France, of the culture, of the art of France. Now Leonardo tells us something that no one else to this point in time knows, but who he would like them to know. And that is, of course, one of his most famous works of art, the Mona Lisa. There has been much conjecture. Who is the Mona Lisa? When was it made? When was it not? And who does it represent? Well, I'm going to share with you Leonardo's secret at his request, and that is to tell you that the board on which the Mona Lisa is painted came from Italy. Leonardo had started to paint his mother on that board, but it was unfinished. It was very little of it had been painted when he left at the call of Francis I to come to France. So when he came to France, and when he had spent time with Francis I, with his sister Marguerite, and in the teaching of both of them, he completed the Mona Lisa. Now he tells us the Mona Lisa depicts his mother, Marguerite, who is Francis' sister, as I've just said, and his ideal woman. Even though, of course, he was homosexual, He had a view of what the ideal woman was. So the Mona Lisa is a mixture of his mother, Marguerite of France, and Leonardo's mythical ideal woman. Does the ideal woman exist? I don't know. I would love to know. The eyes apparently represent a Marguerite of Navarre, as her title was, and the shape of the face, that I believe it was the top, it is the top part of the face, represents his mother, whom he loved and whom he didn't spend a lot of his life with, because he left and he wandered from an early age. So you have now the real truth of Leonardo da Vinci Mona Lisa.